Many people think the Big Bang was just an explosion, but there's much more to it. In the previous episode, we examined what the Big Bang Theory really says and explored key scientific discoveries that support it, like redshifts, the cosmic microwave background, the early formation of hydrogen and helium, and mathematical models and predictions. We also touched on the theory's origin, the scientists behind it, and how modern research continues to reveal how the universe began. So far, the Big Bang Theory seems to offer a solid explanation and evidence for how the universe began. But in today's episode, we will explore some of the major challenges and scientific objections raised against the Big Bang Theory, including concerns from Christians and even some scientists who argue that certain evidence don't quite add up. We would also take a look at some of the responses to these objections. Welcome to AJ's Thoughts with Ezekiel, the Unapologetics Bold Apologetics podcast. This is your space to grow in faith, defend what you believe, and respond to hard questions with wisdom and truth. Let's dive in, listen, and be edified. Here are some objections to the Big Bang Theory. The first objection is that there was no direct observation of the Big Bang, and the Big Bang Theory is unscientific. For certain, no human was there at the moment of the Big Bang to directly observe it. Science is defined as a systematic process of gaining knowledge about the natural world through observation and experimentation. It involves formulating questions, developing hypotheses, conducting experiments, and analyzing evidence to understand how the universe works. Some people believe that since no one observed the Big Bang and the scientific process starts with observation, then the Big Bang Theory is unscientific. However, like good detectives at a crime scene, scientists can gather evidence by observing the universe or the world around us and make hypotheses or predictions using their observations. There were various observations, predictions, and experiments that each contributed to the Big Bang Theory. These are all scientific procedures, and so the Big Bang Theory is scientific. The objection that no one observed the Big Bang should be dismissed because every explanation or belief on the origin of the universe will face similar objections. The next objection is that the Big Bang means everything came from nothing. Many people understand the Big Bang means that in the beginning there was absolutely nothing. No space, no time, no matter, and then boom, the universe popped into existence without a cause. This makes no logical sense because no one has observed anything pop into existence from nothing. Even at magic shows, the reason why anyone would believe a magician can pop anything into existence from nothing is because they either believe the magician has some mysterious power or is good at creating illusions. A theoretical physicist and cosmologist, Lawrence Krauss, believes that physics can explain how something can come from nothing, but this actually depends on what he defines as nothing. Lawrence Krauss uses the word nothing to refer to a quantum mechanical vacuum, which is a sea of fluctuating energy. But then, vacuum is defined as a space entirely devoid of matter. This would then imply that space was actually in existence before the Big Bang, and this doesn't align with the Big Bang Theory. On the other hand, space isn't actually nothing. In graphics design, space has a function. It's used to separate design elements so that the design appears good. In your house, space has a function. There is space in your room so that you can walk about or get other things done. So space isn't actually nothing. William Lane Craig, a Christian apologist and philosopher, argues that true nothing has no property, has no potential, and can't be acted upon. nothing doesn't actually exist. And Lawrence Krauss' definition of nothing does not align with the Big Bang Theory. A counter-argument responding to this objection is that this objection is based on a common misunderstanding about the Big Bang Theory itself. You see, the Big Bang Theory doesn't fully explain what caused it to start, or what came before the universe, or where it came from. It explains the evolving and expansion of the universe after it began. The Big Bang Theory doesn't make any claim that the universe came from nothing. In fact, it says that the Big Bang started from a hot, dense point of singularity, which leads me to my next objection. What caused the Big Bang? The reason why this is an objection is because there are scientists and philosophers who believe that the universe has always been in existence with no beginning, but the Big Bang Theory says otherwise. Even Aristotle, a Greek philosopher, believed the universe was eternal in the past. But Al-Ghazali, a Persian philosopher, believed the universe had a beginning. And they both have arguments to defend their belief. Scientific models like eternal inflation theory, cyclic or oscillating universe theory, steady state theory propose that the universe is eternal. But in 2003, Alexander Vilekin and two other scientists proved that any universe that has been and is currently expanding cannot have an infinite past, but a definite beginning. So what then caused the Big Bang? Daniel Dennett, an atheist philosopher, argues that the universe caused itself to exist. But for something to cause itself to physically exist, it must exist physically or come from another realm. However, most atheists believe that this universe and everything that exists is physical. There's the idea of the metaphysics. These are abstract concepts like consciousness, knowing, living, identity, time, space, beauty, and many other concepts. And so for this reason, some philosophers and even scientists have proposed the idea of a conscious universe. Basically, the universe existed in a conscious state and then caused itself to manifest physically. But here's the thing, only living organisms have some form of consciousness, but the universe is not a living organism. In opposition to Daniel Dennett's view is William Lane Craig's view. Like I said, William Lane Craig is a Christian apologist and philosopher, and he significantly developed and popularized the Kalam cosmological argument. The Kalam cosmological argument has two premises leading to a final conclusion. Premise 1, whatever begins to exist has a cause. Premise 2, the universe began to exist, therefore the universe has a cause. William Lane Craig used this argument to propose that the cause of the beginning of the universe is spaceless, timeless, immaterial, and enormously powerful. And this is how William Lane Craig describes the character of God. He says God is the beginningless, uncaused, timeless, spaceless, immaterial, enormously powerful personal creator and designer of the universe. Surprisingly, both the Big Bang Theory and the Bible agrees that there was a beginning. This leads me to my fourth objection. Doesn't the Big Bang conflict with the Bible's account of creation? The Big Bang Theory states that the universe began around 13.8 billion years ago, with everything forming gradually and slowly. Planet Earth, the sun, the moon, and stars and other planetary bodies in our solar system are about 4.6 billion years old. This contradicts the creation narrative found in Genesis chapter 1 of the Bible. According to Genesis chapter 1, Earth and other planetary bodies in our solar system were all created in 6 days. But there are various Christian views on how the creation narrative in the Bible should be understood. There are young earth creationists who interprets the Bible's creation account as literally true, believing that the earth was created in 6 24-hour days. They reject the Big Bang Theory because they estimate the universe to be around 6,000 to 10,000 years old. Then, there are old earth creationists who believe that God created everything gradually over billions of years. They argue that the days of Genesis could be a figurative representation of longer periods of time. There are those who believe that God actually used the Big Bang to create the universe. There are also those who believe that God used the process of evolution to create life on earth. There are Christian scholars, scientists, theologians, philosophers, and believers who hold these beliefs because of the scientific proofs and evidences that exist. As a good Bible student, it's known that all books, chapters, and verses of the Bible should not be read and given literal interpretation. It's believed that Genesis chapter 1 to 11 falls within this category. Here are some contradictions between the Big Bang Theory and the Bible's creation narrative. Number 1. The Big Bang Theory says the Earth and our solar system formed over billions of years through a long cosmic and evolutionary process. The Bible says that God created everything in 6 days. A literal interpretation of the 6 days is worth considering because the creation account says God rested on the 7th day. And in the book of Exodus chapter 20, God gives Moses 10 commandments. In Exodus chapter 20 verses 8 to 11, God gives the 4th commandment as keeping the Sabbath day holy. The Sabbath is the 7th day of the week. But what is so special about this is in verse 11. God specifically ties this law to him creating for 6 days and resting on the 7th day. So if God did not create the earth, everything in it, the sun, the moon, and stars in a literal 6 days creation event, then God would not have had to make this connection. God does not need to provide a reason for telling the Israelites not to work on one day of the week, but to dedicate it to him and their families. God does not need to provide a reason. He did not provide a reason why they should not kill, why they should not steal, why they should not commit adultery. God did not need to provide that reason for the 4th commandment, especially if it was not literally true. God could have told them to honor the first day of the week because he wanted them to realize that it is important to put God first in whatever they are doing. Yes, the 4th commandment has a Christocentric view, but it necessarily does not need to be tied to God creating in 6 days. The next contradiction is this. In the cosmic formation process after the Big Bang, stars and the sun should have formed before the earth formed, or they could have formed together. But in the biblical creation narrative, God created the earth before he created the sun, moon, and stars. More shocking is the fact that God created the trees and vegetation before he created the sun. You see, this does not align with the scientific belief that the sun, through photosynthesis, is what helps trees grow rightly. This would be even more scientifically inconceivable if God took a long period of time to create the sun after creating trees and vegetation, because we then have the questions, how did the trees and vegetation survive without sunlight? Unless someone wants to suggest that the order of creation in the Bible should not be taken literally as well. I'll share my personal beliefs on how God can create trees and vegetation even before creating the sun in a future episode on Origin, Christianity's creator of creation. So keep listening to AJ Sports with Ezekiel. The objection that the Big Bang Theory contradicts the Bible's account of creation is a very valid objection. So could the Big Bang Theory still be true? Well, to some extent, yes. And I'll give my personal beliefs on why this is possible in that same future episode. There are other objections about the Big Bang Theory, like the singularity problem. The Big Bang Theory says that the universe started from a point of singularity, but this implies infinite density, and science can't properly handle or calculate things with infinite values. Einstein's law of general relativity predicts this singularity, but quantum mechanics breaks down at this point. Another objection is the horizon problem. The temperature of the cosmic microwave background is almost identical everywhere. According to simple Big Bang models, these regions are too far apart and couldn't have exchanged energy. They shouldn't be similar in temperature. There are still more objections even concerning some of the evidences that support the Big Bang Theory. Scientists in various fields address these objections by proposing a new theory or modifying and proposing additional findings to the Big Bang Theory. All of these new theories or modifications still face their objections, and some are even widely rejected in the scientific community. The Big Bang Theory is not the final word on how the universe began. While the theory offers a compelling explanation backed by strong scientific evidence like cosmic expansion, background radiation, and the formation of elements, it also leaves us with deep questions: what caused it, what came before it, why is the universe so finely tuned, and does it align with the picture of creation we see in the Bible? We have explored the evidence and the objections, not to discredit science, but to dig deeper into what truth might be hiding underneath it all. Whether you are a believer, a skeptic, or still searching, I hope this episode gave you something to think about. But our journey doesn't end here. In the next episode, we will explore the theory of evolution, its claims, its evidence, and the debates that surround it. Just like we have done here, we will examine the science honestly, consider objections thoughtfully, and ask what it all means for faith, purpose, and what it means to be human. So stay tuned because you don't want to miss that. This is AJ Sports with Ezekiel. I'll see you in the next episode.